What?
Let's do a holiday gift guide.
Okay.
Okay.
Our first item today is a little more generalized, not so specific. Great option, really popular for fat bikes, but also applicable for other types of bikes as well, for commuters, for people who enjoy riding their mountain bike on the back roads during the winter. Studded tires. And there are just about a bazillion different options out there. We've done a pretty good job, I feel like, of curating both options that work really well, but also options that provide a lot of choices and variation that matches both that performance as well as affordability. The first part, why we like studded tires, what we really like are studded tires that are pre-studded. Sometimes that means that the studs are installed while the tires are fresh off the molds and are still warm. Sometimes they're even a part of the molding process. And sometimes it's just installed by either labor or by machine, and they do a much better job than anybody's going to do when they do this work semi-seasonally at a bike shop. And why I think that's important is in the whole process of tires and studs, a lot of variables come up that can affect the studs staying in the tires, the studs being installed exactly the way they need to be. So we remove a lot of that variable by just simply recommending that you get your tires pre-studded. And there's another important part about this. Why buy a pre-studded tire instead of studding the tires you have? And the biggest part of this is it breaks down to simply a cost-effective nature. When we have a bike like the ones we sell that come with a tire that you can stud, that's a great idea, but I think the problem becomes those shoulder season months where studs are no longer going to be usable, or you might even start to prematurely wear your studs, but yet mountain bike trails aren't quite open yet, and you want to ride your fat bike still. Well, let's say you bought a tire that was stud able, or your bike came with a tire that was stud able as an option for your fat bike, and you did that. Well, then when those shoulder season months come up, or summer comes up, when those studs are definitely going to want to come off the bike because they'll slow you down a lot, even in the dirt, you're going to be out there buying new tires again. And especially during COVID, that's going to be problematic. While most shops are going to do a great job doing the best they can in stocking extra amounts of inventory for things like this, there's still going to be availability issues. And compound that with the added expense of a good summer tire, and all of a sudden you spent just as much money as you would have if you just kept the tire you had that was a great all-season, definitely a great three-season tire that probably came on your bike. And then you would have also gotten a much better winter-specific tire with studs, all around a pretty similar price. So we really recommend going with something that is specifically studded. We love two different brands of studded tires here at the bike shop. The first one, 45 North, in general, their product line uses a rubber compound that's really great in the cold. So much so that riding a lot of their winter-specific tires in the summer can lead to premature wear. The rubber's a lot softer, that sort of thing. Really good ride quality, really good grip on snow, hard-packed snow and ice. Adding that to the great stud options they have, which they have 3 different types that we stock, and you've got a really great all-around studded tire. Our favorite from 45 North are any of the studded tires that have their extra large concave stud. It's an aluminum carbide combination, so this means the stud's a lot lighter. Because it's larger and has a concave shape to it, the stud will stay sharper longer and have a longer applicable wear life. You're not going to get a severe degradation of the effectiveness of those studs like you'll see on something that is a pointed stud, or on something that would use a smaller version of that aluminum stud. They also do a variation of steel carbide stud that's smaller, so keeping the weight down still a little, but not as much as those aluminum carbide studs, and they're also still concave, so we get to keep that long-lasting, really sharp stud that works well. The other option, of course, is a flat stud. Still works great. The nice thing about the flat studs is they're much less expensive because you still get that great winter-specific rubber compound. You get a tire that behaves really well in the coldest of weather. Just a great value for the money. Does that mean if you buy a flat tip stud that your tire's not as good as those other studs I'm talking about? No. Your tire's still going to work great. Your tire's still going to get great grip in the ice and other conditions. You're just going to have to pay more attention about where you ride. If you cross a lot of gravel roads and pavement and that sort of thing to get to the spots you're riding, you're going to want to be a little more cautious about how you steer the bike, how you behave when you pedal the bike to avoid wearing those studs out faster. They're still going to have a great long life to them. This is going to be extremely effective with grip. Just changes how you handle the tire. It also might change how much you specifically pay attention to when you ride. If you're riding on those much warmer days with a flat tip stud, you're probably, because the tire is less expensive, not going to be as concerned as if you're riding with that kind of much more expensive concave extra large stud on those warmer days where the rubber might wear down faster. So that's something else to think about as well. My favorite tire from Tyre currently is the Cake Eater. It comes in a studded form, the not studded form. I like this tire all around in general because it achieves a lot of what 45 North does as far as the tire performing in colder weather and in the snow just as well as other times. And they achieve that not with a softer rubber compound, but they actually achieve it with a properly siped knob set. It's not just kind of some tricky molding, it's actually a properly siped tread. And that means that the tire will grip in that colder weather and move out of the way. But it also means because of that the rubber compound isn't so soft that you have to avoid riding it in the summer. A non-studded version of this can be a great all-year tire. We also stock the flat tip stud version of this tire in the Cake Eater. And then the other thing that Tyre does really well is they make a tire very specifically 5-inch wide tires rather than 4.8 inches or 4.5 inches. Don't be confused by Dillinger 5 tires. Those are 4.5 inches wide, not 5 inches wide. But the significance of this is that they've an extra light casing because they know it's a big tire, and they produce a variation, their own option for a stud that stays sharper longer and works really well across the lifespan of the stud, and taking that concave option and they break it into a crown, so it's got kind of 4 points that kind of point up and have that cupping. So a really great stud that's super sharp and stays pretty sharp through the life of the tire, paired with great siping in the tread, just an all-around excellent tire. Again, the nice thing about these is they're just slightly less expensive in variation to the 45 North. Are they going to have exactly the same grip in the cold as the 45 North? No. I would say they're probably 90% of the effectiveness of those 45 North though. So I do think it's a good option to consider as an alternative, and it gives us a great variation to offer to people. We got lots of options between the two brands in stock that we're able to offer, including options for 27.5 by 4 inch and 27.5 by 4.5 inch. So a lot of variation there available, a lot of options in both that studded variation as well. And doing this option lets you have a great summer tire to come back to that came with your fat bike. We even offer free installation on any of these tires that you buy from us. If you have a tubeless setup already, the only thing we charge you for is tubeless sealant. If you don't have a tubeless setup, we only charge you for the parts to set up that. We don't charge you the labor when you buy a tire from us.
One of my personal most important layers is gloves. I have always struggled to keep my hands and feet warm while winter cycling. I've tried a number of winter-specific gloves, but what I found works the best is either a mitten or a lobster-style glove. This year we have the Pearl Izumi Lobster Claw Pro Amphib gloves. They're kept warm with Primaloft Gold. They're 35% post-consumer recycled material. They have reflective bits for visibility, and they're made of Axe suede synthetic leather material that keeps them tough and grippy. There's also some gel padding on the palms. They're water resistant and wind blocking, which is really important, especially in the winter. These gloves also feature some touchscreen compatible finger bits on your thumb and your pointer. Well, pointer. And if you're like me, you like to get a good selfie while riding winter bikes.
Thanks for tuning in. You can subscribe to our videos through YouTube. You can keep checking in on our website at vermontbicycleshop.com, or you can keep an eye on us on social media for more gift guides coming soon.